At this presentation, Maslina Mokhtar will be sharing with us how to develop and adopt technology that is future-proof when it comes to insights delivery and leverage the benefits of AI to help predict growth opportunities for your businesses. Maslina is the client partner of brand guidance and customer experience for Kanta, and for 20 plus years, Maslina has worked and lived across Southeast Asia and sub-Saharan Africa, specializing in various different sectors, mainly telecommunication, financial services, as well as consumer goods, building expertise in brand strategy and consumer experience. And Maslina currently leads a team of brand building and customer experience experts in Malaysia, delivering impactful business growth. We are definitely grateful to have Maslina Mokhtar to share her knowledge with us. We will go get her and then we'll be right back.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Myra, for the introduction. And today, we're very excited. We're going to be talking about how we can supercharge growth with AI enabled insights. And I'm going to share with you what we mean by that. Today, it's all about how data journeys towards insights and how data has changed over the course of the last 3 decades or so, right? The three areas that we're going to be talking about is going to be the need for insights, which is going to be important because we need to know why we're doing this, right? Secondly, it's about the challenges. What are the kind of challenges for businesses to be able to get to the right information so that they can make the right decision for their businesses? Now, following that, we also want to know, with the aid of AI, how does that journey looks like and what does the ideal data to insights journey will mean for us in order for us to be much more future focused and able to understand the different trends as well as predict potential challenges for our businesses in the future. Okay. So let's get to the first ideas. When what we need to do is actually around the need for insights. We talk about the need. Why do we think this is important? Firstly, it's because compared to where we were 30 years ago, there are much more information in terms of what company collects, what our partners also provide to us, and how our customer engage with us. Because of that, there are gazillion data points that we are working with. And due to the core business that we normally do, data cannot be the only thing that we look into in order to run the business. Therefore, time, money, investment around data might not be the first thing that businesses look into when it comes to decision making. We're used to having decision making information provided to us by our teams from different data sources. Now, we are trusting them with their brain insights to give us the right information. However, with the current technology as well as the fast transformation of data and information, that means we might not be able to cope with the volume of information we have. So having the right information brought to your team is going to be critical. Why? Because you need to know what are the right innovation to invest in, what are the kind of like products your customer wants, solution that fit for their internal need, as well as what are the kind of tools your team will need in order to be able to sell better, bring more profitability to the business, ideally grow in terms of the overall company in itself, right? Now, one thing that we know, the need for insight also means if we do not have the right tool in place, we would miss some opportunities. Why? Because sometimes with the overload of information, we might have some missed opportunities just because some of the information might not get analyzed in time. And this makes it very difficult for us to make the right decision, strategize correctly, plan for the future, and also if we need to like source for new information, we might not get there in time. So I've repeated time a few times by now, just because time is one of the things that most companies do not have when it comes to understanding what data they have. So knowing this, why are businesses still lacking the ability to kind of mine this information, cultivate this information so that they can access it in the right way? And here is why. There are going to be challenges when it comes to getting the right information as well as data for the business, just because we do not operate in isolation. There are quite a lot of moving parts in our businesses. There are also moving parts when it comes to our partners, our customers. So there are multiple sources of data across our businesses. And on top of that, they all tend to come in different formats, right? And they also come in different frequency. So what do I mean by that? Basically, some information you have could be done in a monthly manner. So they could come to you monthly in terms of the reporting cycle. There are some information that probably come to you every quarter or annually. Now, some actually come in percentages, value, as well as volume. Not to mention, some reports gives you percentages versus indexes. So all that different format frequencies means as someone who needs to make a quick decision and not make the wrong decision, how do we reconcile all of that information? And how do we have one currency that works across our businesses and our stakeholders internally as well as externally? Okay. Now, current technology gives us the ability to be able to help with this need, right? But not everyone has the right platform or tool that will be fit for purpose. What do we mean by that? So it comes to the decision. If you already decided that yes, you're going to consolidate all your information, house it under one platform, and then make sure that everyone has a data visualization that can be used across the business, you think your job is done, right? Everything is fitted into one platform. Now, the problem being, if you do not choose the right platform or tool, the information that we have might come back to us with some vague solution, some inconsistent information that we know based on our experience already in the business, and we know for some reason that data doesn't make sense, just because sometimes tools also need someone to be able to interpret the insights for you, and there is some human element that we cannot forget, right? So all this means you need to make sure that the solution you choose when it comes to the platform, dashboard and all that is something that is going to be fit for purpose and actually give you the information, not just data build and structure, but also all the way to insights or solution that you can take to your customers or your stakeholders, right? Finally, the other area that seems to be quite important for us to remember when it comes to challenges is actually around the data lag. Most of our information that we get in-house from all the different sources and our partners are historical data, right? So it is going to show us what has happened and where we stood then, right? And because of the time lag, sometimes it means this is something that has happened over half a year ago, a quarter ago, which means it might not be that useful for us in order to make a decision with things that's happening now, right? That delay in terms of like the number of months, days, seconds for some businesses is going to mean that potentially you could lose revenue. And that's the biggest like concern that we have, because lag data, it tells you where you are, doesn't necessarily tell you where you need to be. And we need something that will be able to give us something for us to work towards and plan for the business. Okay. Now, knowing all this, we sound like we're having quite a lot of challenges when it comes to data transformation, making sure that we know how to use this information and what we need to be able to gather all the team in-house in order to be able to utilize where we need to be. And unfortunately, this is not something that is going to change for us. This is the way of the future. We know that from where COVID was, data, platform, digital, online are something that you're going to be using for the next decade or so, just because this is the new norm that we are facing. And also, we realize that it helps us make the decision in half the time that we used to make. So that's the difference between what data used to be for us versus where it is now and what it can do for us, right? Even the most basic information when it comes to your consumer, right? Whether it comes to age, whether it comes to like income and all that, is something that you'll be able to utilize to customize some solution that your own client and your own team would appreciate. So the information and the customization of the information, not only is it useful for your business solutioning, it is also useful for your internal stakeholder engagement with your employee. Knowing how your employee preference as well as life cycle is also helps you engage with them better, makes it for a much more effective work environment comparatively. So it's not just about us making sure that we know what are the right product to sell, or actually like the kind of decision you need to make in terms of investment, but it's also making sure that we have a happy employee in order for us to grow together. Okay. Now, let's look at what does the ideal data means, right? When you talk about data to insight with the help of artificial intelligence, what can that look like for us, right? AI in research and insights especially means that we can meet the business needs much faster than traditional research. And this is where, for us in Kanta, it's going to be important, because we used to be doing research that could take up to 6 weeks from start to finish to help the client make the right decision, and also to make sure that they are able to get the business solution done for their own team. However, because nowadays 6 weeks is a long time for us to gather information, no one really wants to like venture into the traditional businesses anymore. In fact, for us right now, most of our research since 2019 is pretty much done with the consumer through the online panels that we have, as opposed to the traditional research that we used to have, which is recruitment door-to-door, face-to-face interview, or phone calls. I don't think a lot of us now receive any more telemarketing calls that much. A lot of it are now done on social media, or it's done through your WhatsApp. So the same thing with research. We're utilizing all this technology. Why? Because at the back of it, there is like algorithm that helps us make and reach out to our customer better. And for the research element, we are actually able to get the information faster, right? Now, we talk about how the challenges in terms of like integrating this tool and platform into our business. And one thing that I mentioned earlier is making sure that you have the right partner, right? And these are the insight partner that can help you put together the information, because it's not enough to have just the right platform, right? You can have the right data engineering platform, house it, visualize it, convert all the different data point into the right seamless currency for you to be able to share across the business. But there is someone that's going to need to help you put together the insight that can help you connect the dot faster, right? You have multiple players in terms of your business, your competitive landscape. Therefore, you do need the outside in view in order for you to be able to help make the right decision at the right time, right? Again, time is something that a lot of us do not have these days when it comes to making certain business decision. Even pivoting now used to take like 3 to 4 months, let's say, when it comes to like changing product innovation. If your packaging doesn't work, you can go back in 6 months or so. But right now, no one has that luxury, right? Because you know the minute you lag behind, your competitor is going to be in that particular spot already. And because of like some of the businesses is heavily depending on what is out there in terms of content and media online, that means you are facing with changes that's happening every minute, right? So our human brain is very powerful, but it doesn't have the capacity to process it the way like an AI technology can help you. The machine learning technology can help you put together all this information much faster than all the brains in your business. Okay, so understanding and utilizing the right platform definitely helps you understand how your business can get the insight from end to end in a much faster manner, right? You will also need something that is much more flexible, right? Because not every businesses are the same. So you need a partner who's going to be able to customize it to your need, okay? Not everyone also wants to see everything there is to see in terms of the data. Because again, data can be overwhelming, it can be manipulated, and it also can be taken out of context. When that happens, sometimes your decision is not the right one. This is why, again, with your right partner, you can actually get to the right insights better, make the decision faster and get you something that will be giving you a lead indicator, which means it is not just based on previous information. Nowadays, with AI and machine learning, it means they can future forecast certain trend. Okay, they can future forecast certain path that your product, your sales, your consumer trend is going to go. That means you can plan ahead in terms of what should happen in 6 months, what should happen in terms of 12 months. Because why? We have the technology, now we have the superior AI that can do all of that. Okay. Now, when we've talked about how all this can happen for us, and then we also want to share with you today in terms of what, the, what does it mean. And here I have one of the most common questions as well as the most popular question these days, okay? Because now everyone is on multi-screen, right? And every medium that we use, whether or not it is tablets, mobile phone, laptops, desktop, smart TV, they are all screen that all our potential consumers can be reached on, right? And for a lot of our clients, advertising is one of those things that has been really challenged in the age of technology, right? Now, you do not need to just have TVC. You have video online as well. And all this video and its content changes so fast because of the kind of individual and independent content creators that's popping up like mushroom out there, right? And because of that, every medium has a slightly different component and way of the information being presented to them. How do we know when we are creating any advertising for our business, it is using the right content within the right channel and within the right medium? We're not saying that we're going to let go of the traditional medium. TV, radio plays a very important part in our overall media landscape. But the online video channels have sub-channels and sub-mediums that we need to understand what works and what doesn't work. Something that works on TikTok is not going to necessarily work on YouTube, right? In hindsight, we actually know all that. But for us to understand and also convince our internal stakeholders, sometimes it's not so easy, right? They say, okay, you've already done one ad, just use it across all these channels, right? That's kind of typically what your internal stakeholder will tell you. But actually, that ROI will differ. If you cut and paste the same thing across all mediums, just because they all are capable of online videos, you might not get to the right decision and you might not get the right ROI, for example, right? So the investment and the ROI will depend on how you choose the information and what are the kind of like channels you use to get the content through. And they all provide different reason for why someone is actually watching and streaming from Facebook versus someone who actually look at it from like Netflix, for example, right? And you are able to now target the consumer much more like accurately compared to before. If you look at around how media buy used to be, people kind of just say, okay, demographic wise, this is the age group we're looking for, these are the location that we want. But actually, these days, you can be a lot more targeted, all the way down to, let's say, what exactly do this person like? Just because they are like below 35 doesn't mean they all want the same thing, right? Some of them have different interests. Are they actually into gaming, for example? So how do we get to them? Are they actually just using the social media to actually get in touch with their friends and they don't actually look and source for other information? All of that means we are going to be able to get to them much better if we know what are the right channels and information that we are using the right content with, okay? Now, at Kanta, one thing that we had realized is we also needed to move faster and we also needed to make sure that we can deliver the information to our clients in order for them to make the right decision. When they are advertising and they are creating an ad with their creative and media partner, what we tend to help on is this. We still have like solution which has the human element to it, because at the end of the day, some information, especially if the investment is huge, you do need that human element to understand the context behind it, put together the insight, and also understand how that applies to the business as well as to the consumer, right? But so we have solution now that looks at from something that used to be 6 weeks to something that you can get within 1 week, because why? We need more depth in it. So we are going to get into all the different diagnostic when you look at your creative output. So something that if you can see on your screen, it says link there. So link is one of our creative evaluation tool that we can do on a platform and can give you a result for within a week with some human element touch. And it's something that will be able to give you the insight with the context of how Malaysian consumer, for example, work, right? It also have different variation depending on what your business need, right? Some businesses might not need the depth. So we have different solution that give you Link Express, for example, or Link Now. So it differs from 1 week to giving you the information in 48 hours, for example, as well as something that can give you within 6 hours with still some of the human element from the insight partners like Kanta can give to the business. However, in some cases, especially if you're focusing on just the digital channel for your creative, you might have a lot of ideas from your team, right? Let's say you have over 30 content that you need to narrow down in terms of your decision, which one of it that you're going to end up using, right? You're not going to have time to test 30 ads and 30 creative content using this tool, even though it's going to take, like, say, 6 hours or 48 hours. Because why? It's like going to be still time consuming, right? 30 ads, you need a quick way to narrow it down. You might not need to know in depth how it works or what kind of impact it has on brand. So what do we have? We actually have like a machine learning AI that will help us make that decision for you without the human element involved necessarily, because we've collected all this information over time already. We have the benchmark for Malaysia, for the region, for your category. So what we do, we let the machine ingest all this information, right? And then they will come out with the ranking of all these different content and creative information you've shared with us and tell you which one to go with, right? Based on that, you can actually just use our AI benchmark to make a decision whether or not like it is going to cut through the clutter. Is it going to reach the right audience? And is the messaging on average like comprehensible enough, right? So these are the kind of AI technology that everyone is looking into in terms of making sure that the decision making is cut down in terms of the time. Because why? As we mentioned ahead earlier, time is a luxury that everyone do not really have in abundance, and we can use that extra time to make sure that we make the decision, engage our client, engage our employee. So much better use of our time internally as well. This kind of decision feeds into your larger strategy. Therefore, you can focus on your next step rather than collecting data to get to the next step, right? So the core of your strategy should be about that next step rather than how do I get there, right? Okay, so we've seen how AI, machine learning technology, and the right platform can actually help you make and narrow that decision in order for you to be able to save in terms of cost, in terms of time. Because trust me, like doing the old traditional research of having to choose which creative work better is time consuming. It's not very cost effective these days. So all of that is something that we've seen and proven already in the last few years. So with technology, with artificial intelligence, we now will be able to help you plan, but on top of that, save you a lot of time in terms of your planning. It also helps you in terms of your cost that you can put into other things to make sure that your activation works better. There's like other analytics that you can look into, and also mine the information that you already have about your customers, right? You also have the ability to pivot faster. If you launch an ad and then if it doesn't work, and we are able to tell you, you need to pull it back because it doesn't work on this channel. It works much better on like YouTube rather than TikTok, for example. Then definitely it will save us time. You will be able to get the ROI much better in terms of another channel. So you will be able to pull back, reinvest, and also save time, money, and also means you will tell your stakeholder we are going to be much more profitable going forward. And I think no one wants to like lose out on the opportunity to be like more profitable, right? Okay, so if your business decide this is the way forward, you know it's going to be like much more powerful if it can be powered by AI, and it will definitely help you provide some future focused insights. So whatever you choose in terms of the platform, in terms of the AI and the partners for your future business decision, make sure that it is something that is fit for purpose for your business, and it is also something that is future focused. All right. So with that, I'm gonna leave you with these last thoughts around like, are we then ready for where AI will be part and parcel of our day to day? All right. Thank you very much, and have a good day, everyone.